That was
Yay,
so
we have new recording.
horrible
So,
version recording.
hello internet and YouTube. This is Vapid Political Stuff, and I am bulletjeans. He is Gennaro. Ignore that he is woman in Discord. That's just for tradition, I guess. I am a ancap, and he is a socialist. We made this political channel because we got bored and wanted to do something over summer. So, have fun. So this initial video is basically just us explaining our ideologies. I will not explain the economic side of it because people are gonna get mad at me for not including equations. I'm going to explain the principles behind it. So what ANCAP is basically just pushing libertarian logic, especially by Murray Rothbard, to its logical conclusions, which is the destruction of the state and replacing it with markets. I swear Gennaro is already. Anyway, the principles are
No, you're
you.
correct on that assumption.
The principles are you own yourself. Of course, there's nobody who disagrees with that, but we have to prove it from a rational standpoint because there's people who still unironically believe that it's good somehow. It's basically you own yourself because there's three alternatives and all of them are stupid. You own yourself is the only one that works. The other alternative is socialism but for human bodies, which is everybody owns everybody else equally. And of course, that would mean you require 8 billion people's consent to breathe, which I'm pretty sure is absurd to anyone listening. Next, we have slavery, meaning that you need another person's consent to breathe, which is absurd. And then, nobody owns anybody, i.e., you don't own yourself, but nobody owns you yourself either, which means that you cannot breathe because nobody can consent to your breathing, which is absurd, meaning that self-ownership is the only way for ownership to function of one's body. Next, we have the homestead principle, which is basically you mix your labor with unowned stuff. For example, a stick. You pick up the stick and the stick is yours because you have exerted labor to acquire the stick. You are the rightful owner to that stick. We call it the homestead principle. To homestead something, you cannot arbitrarily claim that you own something. That would mean that Hitler owns the world, or at least owns most of Europe, which is absurd. The alternatives to this, collective ownership of everything. It fails for the same reasons as collective ownership of everyone is stupid. One person owns everything. Are you sure about that? You're literally enslaving yourself. Uh, and then you see, whenever the first person to see it owns it, which is stupid because that means that some random caveman owns the entire universe because he looked up into the sky. Uh, when you claim it you own it is stupid because there's people who unironically believe that they own the world and they do not own the world, meaning they don't own it. And now, the NAP, which is basically you are allowed to defend yourself and you're not allowed to initiate conflicts. Now, of course, the anarchy part of ANCAP, which is basically that the government violates every single one of these principles. It violates your self-ownership by banning certain things such as evictionism, which is basically abortion without killing. By banning you from owning certain types of property, for example, guns, which might be controversial, but Still, by banning you from owning that kind of property, they have infringed on your right to homestead property and freely exchange it with other people. And the NAP, what do you think taxation is? And I'm not, or if you want to be more nuanced about it, how come the government has the right to invade your home just because they have a shiny piece of paper called a warrant and that says they do? And that's basically it. Rio, are you there? Do you exist? You're supposed to do this is
Oh,
your
what? Huh? Huh? Oh, I was reading manga the entire time. I did not listen to a single thing that you just said.
Ah, so you avoided aneurysm. Good job. Now explain socialism from your standpoint. I don't want you to be another bread tuber.
The socialism is basically, let me just so I don't make a fool out of myself, let me just make sure I get the correct things. So, okay. Yeah, yours is more simple, but I'm going to go a little more in depth with mine. So, socialism, that's the stepping
Rio, we're
stone
trying to
towards
keep this up to
communism.
15
And
minutes.
everybody, yeah, I will try. Now, shut up. Everyone knows that socialism is the collective ownership of the means of production. Socialism is supposed to be the stepping stone towards communism because socialism is the state that is supposed to build towards a communist state. So if you establish a socialist state, all of the goals of that socialist state
Wait,
will
I'm
be
recording something.
directly towards the principles of communism, which is a stateless and moneyless society where everyone is equal. Every people who have studied communism slightly would know about these principles. Now, if I were to focus onto the principles of socialism, then it's basic. Everybody is human. You still have all of the basic human rights. And the only real change that I have in my view of socialism would be it would be more of a vanguardist version of socialism rather than, let's say, democratic socialism. Democratic socialism is socialism with capitalist characteristic. Vanguardist socialism is socialism that leans towards a more authoritarian rule in order to prevent itself from being strong-armed or invaded by capitalist forces from outside. And this is what most capitalists used to do, say that socialism is authoritarian and yada yada yada. I believe that the force that the state exerts is merely for its own defense in order for that socialism can be created and pushed forward undeterred.
I have so many
If I were to go
clarifications, but
into,
I'm gonna
if I
forget
were supposed to
them.
go deeper into this, I wouldn't do it in the introductionary video.
Yeah, we'll do that in separate videos. Just give an introduct, or are you done?
Oh no, that was just me ranting. And let's go into the actual thing. You went into your principles, I will go into mine. So, from my standpoint, socialism should obviously benefit the workers and the farmers, and the rich should be taxed accordingly. Now, most people are going to argue that the rich people earn their place there, but I have a simple counterpoint to that, and that would be wage slavery. You're being stolen of your labor, and it's being taken away from you. So,
Rio,
if you
this is
were
not
to tax these
propaganda.
rich
You're
people,
supposed to explain the principles.
that is the principles of socialism. What are
Don't
you
say
talking about?
yours, say the workers.
You know what? I'll try and simplify this. I'm not used to doing this simple.
Fine.
Basically, I believe that the means of production should be collectively owned by everybody, not in the collectivist fashion that you'll see in the Soviet Union during 1920s, etc. But the means of
Thank you.
production should be collectively owned by the workers and not
So, giant
by
worker
let's
co-op.
say bureaucrat capitalists or capitalists. I
So, a
will
worker
that is
co-op.
the basics of it, but I will clarify it if it's a worker co-op in a later video. But yeah, that's the basics of the economic sides. For socially and politically, it's just an egalitarian society with a state, not complete anarchy.
Mm.
I would do much better with my own video doing this. So yeah, that's just the basic introduction that I can
You know
give.
that if you have your own video, I'm literally going to be sitting there questioning you.
Yeah, that's fine by me. And then same
Okay.
goes for you.
Anyways, I'm gonna go back to reading Austrian Econ after this is done. Are we done? Is that basically it?
I guess that's basically it.
Okay.
I guess.
Alright. Nice. Let's